Good morning,
Okay.
Josh. Good morning.
Today we're going to start on 40A, Daf Mem. Daf Mem Amud Aleph. It's in the traditional Gemara. It's one line down from the wide lines. Yosef Rav China Baridi. We thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. In this chassav we're learning we should have the base of Mikdash immediately. We're learning also for Shlem for my father and for Naftali ben Bela. Okay, so the Gemara says like this. So we're actually discussing a very interesting thing, a type of fish oil, that fish brine, that if there's a certain fish that's living in it, that tells me that all the brine here is kosher. Because this type of fish would only live in the kosher fish brine. The fish is called the kilbis. Yasser Rav China Bar Idi Kamei de Ravada Barava. Rav China Bar Idi is sitting in front of Ravada Barava. Yasser V'Kamer. I guess Rav China Bar Idi is the one that's saying this. I'm not sure what this means always. He was saying in front of Ravada Barava, Eivid Kechavim Shevi Areva Malay Ariva. Ariva, they corrected to be with an aleph instead of with an ayin. Ariva with the ayin means like a basket. Ariva with the aleph means a boat. A non-Jew that he brings a boatload full of barrels. Barrels, we're talking about barrels of this fish brine. And it turns out that there's a kilbis in one of them. Now the kilbis is a sign that it's a kosher, that everything else is kosher. So you would say. So who's the one that's talking here? Rav China Baridi or Ravada Barava? Okay, it says he was sitting, and then it says he sat and he said in front of his teacher Ravada Barava. So the teacher's Ravada Barava. So when he received it, he took the seat once again and began speaking. He sat, it's based on Mishnah Chacham and Magalas Yam. Okay. Well, Shekayach. So Rav China Baridi is talking, and he says like this, that if there's a kilbis in even one of the barrels on the whole boat, it's all kosher. However, that's only psuches. That's only if all the barrels are open. Then the entire boat is kosher. The thing is, he's not finding the kilbis in each barrel. He's finding it only in one barrel. So the question is, if they're all, how do you know they're all kosher? Maybe only the barrel that he found it in is kosher. He says, well, if they're open, then you can say, why didn't you find it in other ones? Because they fell out. Stumis, but if it's closed, then himatar sukul nasuris. And only the one that you found it in is going to be kosher. The other ones that couldn't have fallen out must be that it's not kosher. Now, the lack of the kilbis doesn't mean that it's not kosher. It's just the kilbis, the finding of the kilbis means that it is kosher. It says if it's closed, then you have no proof that the other ones are kosher, only the one that you found it in. There's Rashi. So machlekes over here. This brings two opinions. If you find two in the open ones, or if you find two in the closed ones. According to Rabbeinu Ephraim, he says that even though if it's closed, only the one that you find the kilbis in is kosher. He says, but that's only because you only found it in one. But if you found it in two of them, then all the rest would be kosher. Amalei minalacha. So this is, I guess, Ravada Barava telling Rav China Baridi. He says, where did you get this from? That this halacha of open, closed. He says, mitlasa kroi. From 3 psukim, Shmili. I heard it from 3 psukim. Who are these psukim? It says Mirav, Shmuel, and Rabbi Yechon. He calls them psukim. Now, the Bach, mitlasa. He just says Mahamlei mitlasa. It could mean that it's not really kroy. It could mean that it's kiroi, which meant some sort of crown. Master. Okay, over here it looks like kroy, which means psukim. Rashi learns that it's kedai lismech aleim kala mikra. You could rely on Rav Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan as if they're a pasuk. All right. Okay. Amarav Brun Amarav. Corrected in the rush by Amarav Khan Amarav. Kirvi Dagim, fish insides. The ubran, and the ubran is the caviar, the eggs, the fish eggs. You can only buy these from the experts. Jewish experts or the non-Jewish experts? What do they say in the commentary? What does it say? Say a Jewish expert? Not telling me. Not telling me according to Rashi what it means. Okay. We have in the halacha, we have that sometimes experts are believed even if they're not Jewish, because we don't want that they would never lie. They don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to lose their reputation. Or maybe it is a Jewish person. I'm not sure. Okay, but you need an expert here to tell you that it's kosher. Rami le ula le Rabbi Dostai de min biri. Ula as a contradiction. So we quoted something in the name of Rav. And Ula asks Rabbi Dostai of Biri the following contradiction. Says, Midakam Rav, and the fact that Rav says, the only way you can buy the innards of a fish or the caviar, the roe, the fish eggs, you need an expert, Mechlal. Why would you need an expert? Because it could be confused with other ones. The dag tamiyas liyuver. Obviously, the non-kosher fish also have roe. But 1 second, we have a brisa that says dam dag tame mashritz dag tar matul beyim. That this is the difference between a mammal and a fish, right, or other thing. Do they lay eggs or do they give birth? So it says dag tame mashritz. The dag tame, the non-kosher fish, mashritz means it gives birth without an egg. It just gives birth to the creature itself. It's the kosher fish that has egg. What are you worried about? You have to get an expert to tell you that the fish is kosher. Non-kosher fish don't even have eggs. My answer is Sami Mikan Ubran. Get your white out and cross out Uber from this statement of Rav. Cross out the row. Rav only said the innards of the fish. He never said the roe of the fish, the caviar. That you don't have to worry. You can get caviar without a hachshar. That's not a problem. Amalei Reb Zara says to him, I guess this is to Ula, or maybe to Rabbi Dostai. He says, don't erase it. No, don't use the white out so fast. They both of them have eggs. If you open the fish up, you'll see that in the fish there's eggs. Question is, when does it hatch? Does it hatch? Does it lay the egg? And then outside the fish, it goes on they lay it on like some seaweed or something or whatever on the floor. And then it gets fertilized. Or does it hatch from inside does it hatch inside the fish? And then it comes out. It looks like it was a mammal. So therefore, it still could be that the reason why we have roe from a non-kosher fish is because you opened the fish up and you took it out before it hatched. So the Gemara asks now, why do you need an expert? Can't you tell if it's kosher or not kosher? The Tanya, started in the Brisa. The same way we have signs to tell you if the egg is a kosher egg, so too there's signs that tell you if the fish is a kosher fish. Now the Gemara says, Simone dagim salkadaitach. I need a brisa to tell me about signs of a kosher fish. Simone dagim snapavikaskesetzibu. The kosher fish is fins and scales. That's in the pasuk. Eggs, it doesn't tell me how to tell in the pasuk. Right. Eggs, I need a brisa to tell me that there are signs on eggs. But to tell me that there's signs on fish, I don't need the brisa. Elas kisimani beitzim. Rather, it means to tell you like this: just like there are signs on eggs, kachsimani ubri dagim. There's also signs on the roe of the fish, on the caviar, not the fish. On the caviar, there's signs. What is the signs? Elohein simani beitzim. This is how you can tell that the egg is kosher. Today, sometimes they have an OU on the egg, on each egg. Some companies have an OU on each egg. It gets stamped. Usually, you don't do that. When in places where they have other eggs other than chicken eggs, you have to make sure that it's kosher.
Remember that like white foam. Each egg comes down with a red thing.
Yeah. But officially, there is a way of telling if the egg is a chicken egg or from some other bird by the shape.
Pheasants or what else? They sell other eggs in the store.
Well, sometimes you see like quail eggs, but quail is a kosher bird. But and then an ostrich, you can tell.
Yeah, those are noticeable.
Yeah, but apparently there are other birds that aren't.
Or like a duck.
The duck
Size.
to an ostrich.
No, like
to a chicken. The ducks could be kosher, depending on which. We would only shech the duck. We had a tradition on it, but has to have the yellow beak, I think. Like duck, like Donald Duck. Okay. Elika simani beitz gas uvidog. Velin simani beitz. Kol shekederes v'gelas. Anything that's kederes means that it's flat. Gelas is round. I guess it means sharp. Sharp. Narrow or round. Narrow or round. Narrow. It needs to be narrow and round. One side needs to be more round than the other. Egg shape. Right? Egg shape. If both of them are sharp. And both of them are flat. Tmeya, that's tummy. They have to have one side more roundish and one side more sharp, more pointy. Chelmain mibachutz v'chelbain mibifnim. Chelmain is the yellow of the egg. Used to be orange. No, let's do this like this: the red versus the white. There's the red of the egg, the chelmain, and the chelbain is the white. The way I remember that is because chalab is white. Chelbain mibifnim. If the red is on the outside and the white is on the inside, tmeya. That's tummy. That's not a kosher bird. If the white is on the outside and the red is in the inside, that's the kosher bird. Let's say it's all mixed up. It's scrambled inside. Zuhi beitza sheretz. That's a sheretz. That's like a frog or a lizard or those other things that it's all mixed together. Okay. Our question is that why did you tell me that you need an expert? You just told me all the simanim that tell me if it's kosher or not kosher. You look at all the signs. If everything checks off, it should be kosher without your expert. Rava says kashini mucho. We're talking about when you can't tell from the signs because it's already been mixed up. Okay. Rab the statement. I don't know how does the expert tell? I guess the expert tells us because he saw it beforehand. And he can tell us like that.
Maybe he sold it because the prophet wants to smash.
But the expert the expert knows from before. Now you're relying on him from before. Maybe. Rab the Stoidim in Biri, the Omar Sami Mikanubran. Before we had Rab the Stoi, that Ula asked him the question, and he said, "Oh, that's such a good question. We're going to have to erase from Rav's statement that the row it needs to be bought from an expert." He says, "Take that part out. You don't need an expert because the non-kosher fish don't have row." He says, "But Tanya, but we have a brisa that says kasimani beitzim kasimani ubri dagim." What do you mean they don't have row? You just told me that there are signs on the row to tell me if it's kosher or not. But if they don't have it, what do you mean? There's signs that tell me which one's kosher. It says lav tirutzi miteretzesla. We already answered that. We have an answer to that. Kachsimani kirvei dagim. It's not signs on the row. It's signs on the innards of the fish, which is everything else, not the row, just all the digestive parts and other things of the fish.
Fish is same as chicken.
Fish usually lay the eggs somewhere, and then the male fish just drops its sperm somewhere around it. Yeah. But the chickens gets fertilized while it's inside, right? If it's fertilized, then it's while it's inside. This is fertilized after it's laid by the fish. So, where do you get? Where in the innards of the fish you have one side that's pointy and one side that's round, like an egg shape? Where do you have that? The Gemara says mishkachas la b'shilfucha. Apparently, there's an air bladder inside the fish that helps it float. It fills up with the air, it opens, it expands it, and that could be round. And where's the doctor? I have to show me a picture on Google. What it is? Okay.
They made something similar. So like when it's preparing, they have this like make them flow. Like when they need to come back up.
They
call it.
It'll lay eggs.
No.
People that go scuba diving. So, now the Gemara has a question. What do you do if you don't have an expert and you want to have fish eggs? You have a craving for caviar. Rav Yehuda says, you go to the store. The guy says, I'm the one that salted them. That means like I removed them. I know I'm the one that took care of them. That they came from a kosher fish. So then, okay, the guy tells you that's good. We're talking about a yid, or we're talking about a how do you know?
Says Jewish seller was not
Says it has to be a Jewish seller. No, do they have a note on that that says who's saying that? Yes, it's obvious. Okay. Rav Nachman says that's not enough. You can't we can't trust the person to say that I'm the one that removed them. He has to actually point to the fish. The fish have to be there. And he says these are the fish, and then you have to be able to check the fish, and then you see, and then he says these are the innards. Dr. Stein sent a picture. He said, okay,
Send
yeah,
it.
on the WhatsApp. So, Ayri Rav Yehuda Ada Daila. Rav Yehuda told Ada Daila. Ada Daila sounds like a chef. Show me. See? Oh, okay. Very nice. He told them, Kivin Damar, Ani Malachtim with time. He says, you don't have to be so strict like Rav Nachman. This is Rav Yehuda's opinion. So, Rav Yehuda, this is Rav Yehuda Leshitasai. He told this chef, this Ada, person that takes care of the meals, he said that you just have to ask the person if he was the one that took them out, then that's good enough. Okay, another thing in the Mishnah was ala shel chiltis you were allowed to buy from a non-Jew, and you're allowed to eat it. But chiltis itself, you were not allowed to eat. You were concerned that maybe it was cut with a knife that had the fats on it, and the knives are not clean. So, but the ala shel chiltis, the leaf, that's acceptable. The Gemara says, pshita, what are you worried about a leaf? You don't need a hechsher on leaves. It says, leinitzchel lekratim shabai. Talking about that together with the leaf, there's also the pieces. Maybe you could have thought that the pieces that are here are cut pieces. No, these were pieces that were just attached to the leaf. I'm not sure if it's like small pieces, seeds or something. It was attached to the leaf and it came along, but these are, you don't have to suspect that these were cut pieces that he mixed in. The cut pieces were a problem. Okay, now the next piece of the Mishnah was Zeisei Kluskois HaMegolgalim. These were olives that were in some sort of round bowl. Said that this way you're allowed to eat. Pshita, of course you're allowed to eat it. What's wrong with the olives? No, there's a problem here. These olives are very soft. Soft. Something's fishy. No, it's not. Something has maybe some mixed wine in it. So maybe they put wine into it to soften it. Guess it sits in the wine, it gets softer. Kamash Malan comes to teach me that honey, machmas mishchahu derafu. It's the oil that it's sitting in that made it soft, not wine that was added. You don't have to worry about wine being added. Rabbi Yosi Omer shlachin asurim. You know, in the Mishnah we had that shlachim meant that if the olives, if the pits of the olives are falling out, then it's asur. Yeah. This is sent out. What's the case of shlachim? Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina. Rabbi Yosi Bar Chanina says, we're talking about when you hold it and the pit falls out while you're holding it. He says that's asur because that happens only with the wine mixed in. Another thing we said that grasshoppers that come from this type of basket is asur because they pour wine on it, and if it comes from another type of basket, mina heftik, some sort of storage place, that's going to be mutter. So we talk about now the grasshoppers that come from the basket or from that other type of storage. Hachagavim, grasshoppers. Hachagavim, the grasshoppers. Kafrisin. Kafrisin are the caper berries. Gefleitis, Evyanis are the berries. I think the kafrisin are the buds. Gefleitis are leeks. Von mina itzer, they're coming from a storage place. Mina heftik is another type of storage place. Mina svina are from the boat. Mutarim, those are all places where they have large quantities of it. That's mutter. They didn't add any wine to over there. And imkarim bekatluza lifnei chenveni, but those that are sold in front of the katluza, some sort of basket. What is it? In the market before the storekeeper, I have in the side it's adjusted to slula, which is a basket. Katlas is a marketplace, like a meat market. Then it's also why because they would sprinkle wine on it when they sold it. Yeah. Right. Also, yain tapuchim, wine of apples. apple cider. Wine of apple cider, shalavdik kechavim, abay. It's coming from a storage, beneftik, from that other type of storage. Minaslula, from a basket, mutarim, it's mutter. Hanimka bekatluza, but if it's sold in the market, that's also pnei shav by mine, because they would mix a little wine into the apple cider. Apparently, the apple cider is more expensive than the wine, or else they wouldn't add wine into. You never add something more expensive into something less expensive. You add the cheap stuff in to fill it up, right?
You spray it on the object.
They would also spray the wine somehow, to keep it fresh or something. Taner Rabbanan was taught in a brayse. Pamachas chash Rebbe b'mei. One time Rebbe had a stomachache. Amar klum yeshadim she'edei yen tapuchin shleiv d'chav maser mutter. Does anyone know if wine from an apple, if apple cider from a non-Jew, if it's aser and mutter? Does anyone know the halacha? This is Rebbe asking. Amar lefana Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yosi tells him. Shmuel bar Yosi is his chabrusa. Says. One time my father, Rabbi Yosi, that's Rabbi Yosi ben Chalafta, the student of Rabbi Akiva, he said one time my father had a stomachache. They brought him aged apple cider. It was 70 years old. He drank it, he felt better. So they claim that there's, it's not saying vinegar, it's saying apple cider. They claim that there's health benefits to apple cider vinegar.
But then they put loads of sugar in there.
No, but the apple cider vinegar has in it the natural the pieces, the natural pieces that made it, the fermentation. Yeah. Rebbe was very humble. So, and he got healed. So Amalai, Rebbe says, Kol you know so much, you have so many things in your hand, and now you're paining me. You should have told me earlier. They went out, they found a non-Jew that had 300 barrels of apple cider. It was 70 years old. He drank it, and Rebbe felt better. Blessed is Hashem that He gave His world over to watchkeepers, to people that store things, to hoarders. No, kidding.
You got cured, usually say.
Yeah.
Well, how do you answer that? Why didn't you tell me before? Why was it in such pain, right?
Right.
So he's criticized.
That was just his expression.
Then in the end, he's thanking Hashem for
that someone had that said he had access to the
cure.
Truma, the same thing applies to Truma. Now, what does it mean? Same thing applies to Truma. What do you mean? Same thing applies to Truma. Rav Sheshes, same thing applies. Rav Sheshes says, if there's a kohen that he sells his Truma, and he doesn't tell the people that it's Truma, he sells it as chulin. Truma is only allowed to be eaten by a kohen. Chulin is regular mundane food. So the market for Truma is much lower because only a kohen can eat it. So the price is going to be lower, but he doesn't do that. He sells it as if it's chulin. So it goes like this. Lefan of Hudaser. It's only what he has at hand that's aser. But anything that he has in storage, that he's not going to lie about. That's going to be allowed. He's allowed to buy from the storage place. Because he's afraid. He says, maybe the rabbis are going to hear that my whole storage is not good and they're going to take it away from me. They're going to be mafkeret. They're going to say that anyone can take it because this person is not keeping the laws. So he doesn't want to do. He's only ready to risk what he has at hand. It's like, big deal. What are they going to do? Take it away from me? It's just one some toasted grain or something. Truma is usually grain, wine, or oil. So. Okay, this was the second chapter of Avodah Zara. And now we're going to the third chapter. Third chapter says, Kol Atzlamim Asurim. Tselem. It should be, yeah. Tselem is an image. All images. We say a tselem is a cross, but a tselem is an image, right? Tselem is probably Yiddish. The Hebrew word slamim is any image. A tselem is. So all they're asur. Why? It's an idol. Because they worship them just even once a year. That's what Reb Meir says. Apparently, there were idols that were worshipped often, and there were idols that were worshipped once in a while. So they say, 1 second, but this is not, you don't worship this, this is just a decoration. I said, no, once a year, everyone gathers around and they all bow down or something. I don't know. And the Chum say no. There's some images that are not idols. They're there just for decoration. How do you know if it's an idol? It says, what's the image holding in its hand? If it's holding a stick or a bird or a ball, so then it's an idol. Then it's asur. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, Af kol sheyesh biyadei kol davar. If it's holding anything. So we have three opinions here. We have Reb Meir. He says even if it's not holding anything. The Chachamim that says specifically these items, and Reb Shimon ben Gamliel that says it has to be holding something. What exactly? It doesn't matter. If these images are worshipped once a year, my time of the Rabbanan. So why did the Rabbanan say? Why did the Rabbanan say that it's mutter? You see, the Rabbanan could have said the only thing that's the words of the Chachamim could have been different. Chachamim could have said not Eina Asur, but Eina Nevad Ela. Could have said it's only worshipped if. They didn't say that. If it has something in the hand. They didn't say that. They just said no. Said it's not a problem. Why is it not a problem? If it's worshipped, it's a problem. Amr Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef, Amr Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. That's not so common, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef. It says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, B'mkayim shel Reb Meir, hayu dem ma'isa pamachas b'shana. Where Reb Meir lived, where did Reb Meir live? Like in Lud or something. I don't remember. Reb Meir lived, so they would worship it once a year. Reb Meir, the Chayesh Lemiyuta, Gaza Sharmakim Satos Aisamakam. Reb Meir's opinion in Shas is that he always suspects to the minority. Right? Since there are certain ones that are worshipped once a year, other ones that aren't worshipped at all, but he's concerned that because of those places where they worship this once a year, so Gaza Sharmakim Satos he made a decree on all idols like that, all idols because of those places that it's worshipped once a year. For Rabbanan and the Rabbanan, they're not concerned about the minority places. Like they said, no, then you can just let that be nullified, like that place. If there's such a concept, nullified, but you don't have to say that the whole world is asur because of those minority places. Amr Rav Yudah Amar Shmuel. Yudah says in the name of Shmuel, Bandarti Shel Malachim Shaninu. We're talking about an image of a king. I don't know what the word Andarti is. Probably some sort of idol, an image. They would make a statue of a king. I remember a tshuva that the Jewish community in Dallas, they asked Reb Moshe if they could make a statue or participate in the statue John F. Kennedy. He was shot in Dallas, right? Where was he shot? So I think he allowed it. I think he allowed. So anyway, this is going back as a president, those old-fashioned kings, and can't compare. But so he says that the problem over here is if it's a statue of a king. Good morning, good morning. Of course. Okay. Amar Rabba Bar Bachana Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Bachana says in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Ba'imdim al Pesach Medina Shanino. We're talking about where would Rabbi Meir say that it's Aser? That's talking about where it was at the entrance to the city, to the country. That's where you have the statue. You know, it's a statue that's put at the entrance. That could be worshipped. They may worship it. Amar Rabba says, Machlekes b'shel kfarim. Machlekes between Reb Meir and the Chachamim, where the Chachamim are lenient about these statues. That's because it's in a village. And Reb Meir is strict. Why is it over here? We're saying, why is Reb Meir strict? That's because it's in a village, where villages, they worship all types of things. Aval b'shel krachim, but if it's in a city, so then divrei kol mutarim. And everyone would say that it's permissible. In my time, what's the reason? L'noya avdilu. They only made it for decoration. These statues. With the kfarim mikal mandam l'noika avdilu. 1 second. In the villages, the Chachamim are saying that it's mutter. Do you think in the villages they did anything for decoration? Villages, they don't do decoration. They only do food and barns and what do they have? They don't have decorations. The Gemara says the kfarim vaday lemiftachinu abdilo. They definitely made it to worship. If it's there, it's for a use. Ella yitmar hachi yitmar. Rather, you have to say it the following, the opposite. Amar Rabba. Rabba says machlekes b'shel krachim. Machlekes is in the cities where they made it to worship, or they made it for decoration. Abashel kfarim, but in the villages, divrei kol asurim, everyone says that it's asur because if they have a statue in a village, it's for worshiping. Chamim eina asurim chulu. The Chum say it's only asur if it has in its hand a stick, a bird, or a ball. Makal, what's the stick represent? Why are you saying that it's asur if there's a stick? Sheroides atzmei tachas kol olam kulik kamakal. Reida means that it has like jurisdiction. It rules. Sheroides atzmei. What does it mean? Sheroides atzmei. Well, the wording is funny. How do they word it there?
It places itself under the rule of the entire world.
When it says itself, what does it mean itself?
Oh, it has in brackets the image.
It places
The image places itself. The rule, the entire world will stand.
Under the rule of the entire world. The image places itself. That's interesting wording.
Saying it's Atmai, not the Abishter. He's the ruler. That's why it's an idol.
Yeah, so, but why doesn't it say Sheroida Kalelam Kule Kamakal? What is the Esatzmai? Number 7. The Gemara wishes to ridicule the idolatry, and therefore does not say that the image rules over the entire world with the staff. The staff is recognized appurtenance. Okay. Yeah, so there's somehow it adds in esatzmai, meaning like as if it only rules itself, but it means that it rules the whole world. Something like that. Okay. Tzipar, what does it mean? The bird. What's the significance of the image holding a bird? Shetayfes means it wants to say shetayfes atzmai tachas kolam kulik tzipar. That it's as if it grabs the whole world like the way it can hold a bird in its hand. It means it has full jurisdiction over the world. That's what the image is representing, idolatrous image. Kader, the ball, it's if it's holding everything like the whole world. It holds it like it holds a ball, not a basketball. That's too big. It means a baseball, a golf ball. Okay. Tana was taught in a brisa. Hisifu aleim sayif. They added on other things that if it's holding these things, this is also considered an idol. If it's holding a sword, a tara or a crown, the tabas or a ring. Sayif, originally, what they thought was meikar savra listim ba'alma. Originally, they thought that if it had a sword in its hand, oh, that's just a bandit. They made a statue of a bandit. In the end, it says that it can kill the whole world. It has full reign over the world. Atara, why didn't we say Atara originally, the crown? Mikar Savra Gedil Klili Ba'alma. Originally, they thought that it was just a Gedil Klili is just like a woven wreath. Saif Savra Katara Lamelach. In the end, they said that it's a crown for a king. And that would be a problem. The Greeks would put on the that little olive branch over the Olympic guy, the guy that would have won the Olympics. That's probably the Olympics was all idol. Was it Olympia an idol? Was that an idol?
It was a fountain, I think, and also actually named after like some Greek idol.
Anyway, Tabas. Is it a problem? Let's say I don't know. There's a symbol of the Olympics. You know those circles. Where does that? What's that from? Is that the old? Is that an old symbol from the? Tabas. Tabas, the ring. Mikar savar ishtaima ba'alma. Usually they said that it was just a ring that someone has, like a seal. It means that he's able to control the whole world, to say that it should be put to death or whatever, to make a verdict on the world. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel said that whatever it's holding, it's an idol. Tana, the Brisa, if it's holding a little bit of a pebble, or even if it's holding a little twig, that's also considered that this statue is worshipped. Rav Ashi has a question. Let's say it's holding some excrement. Miyamrina and Kulialma Zilu Bafekitsaya doesn't mean to say that the whole world is just like excrement in front of this idol, that this idol has the whole world. Dilma who Mia Dezil Bapikulialma Kitsaya, maybe it's the opposite, that it is in front of the whole world like excrement. Exactly the opposite. Says, well, take it. We don't have an answer to that. We're just going to leave it. Okay, let's leave it here at the Mishnah.
What were the three things? The ball, the birds, the
stick.
And what did it say the stick symbolized?
Like to rule the world. Yeah. Okay. Good day.